Yo, YouTube world, Zilla23 coming at y'all with another video, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. Gotta get this wisdom, gotta get this knowledge, gotta get this divine understanding. I am sitting in the presence of Moon, the divine honeysuckle moon. How are you?
I'm doing so well, my brother. How are you doing today?
I am well.
Yes.
I am amazing. Yes.
Yes.
Give thanks for life.
Indeed.
You know, basically, we had put up a video when I was in Ghana, and we were speaking about Africans liking African Americans, so-called African Americans, and it was just a lot of debate about we're Hebrew Israelites, we're American Indigenous, we're Africans, we're Moors, we're this, we're that. So I hear y'all, and I figured why not bring the wisdom of Moon. So maybe we can get down to the bottom of some things. You know what I'm saying?
Deeper into it. It's true, because when you tell me this, with the division within the conversation, it's something that we truly do need to look at a little bit more intentionally.
Because when you think about it, Chinese people can come here.
Yes.
Indian people can come here.
Yes.
They still know where they're from.
Everybody else knows where they're from.
How come we have an identity crisis amongst so-called Black Americans? I don't even know what to call us.
Yeah.
What do we call us? What would you say? Like,
well, truly, we are the original beings.
Just like that.
We are the
original beings.
You know? Like, that really dismantles a lot of the fight, a lot of the conflict that comes about when people are trying to figure out their origin. Because you have to keep in mind, we are the one people who intentionally were displaced, and not just physically taken from our homeland, but spiritually and culturally, religiously,
linguistically.
And that is one of the biggest challenges for me. Because, you know, going to Africa, you learn the beauty of reconnecting with the original languages. And that is a large part of what they don't want us to remember about ourselves. So I'm happy to be having this conversation. I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. So first and foremost, we're going to begin with Hebrew Israelite, right?
Yes.
So we understand that the Bible is melanated people. You know, the Old Testament, the Bible begins in Africa.
That's
the
right.
Tigris, the Euphrates, and
right.
so most of the Bible setting is in Africa.
Yes.
Right? So what would you say about like Hebrew Israelites? Like, what's your take on that? Like, do you think just because you're Hebrew Israelite, you have to disregard Africa all the way? Or what do you think? What would you say?
I think that anyone who disregards Africa on any level, even though they have a certain visible identity of African heritage, they've got some major challenges, and that there are still hills to climb on that. Because what you cannot do is displace your bloodline, like your visible bloodline. You can't just go and put that in another compartment for your spiritual culture.
Exactly.
I think that's a big problem.
A big thing, you know.
One of the biggest challenges that I have is the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then that line. It's like, okay, why do you have to treat the people in one regard because they're from the west side of the island versus the east side of the island?
When it's all one land.
Yes, and all of the people got dropped off, and even before we realized that there was, you know, that mixture that was happening between the indigenous people that were already there. Because I think that is very important to regard and acknowledge those that were already there before Columbus and all of the other slave, I don't know what we would call these people, these slave murderers. I want to just call them slave murderers. These slave murderers came and literally put us in a situation that was supposed to be complete disadvantage, but because we were able to connect with ones who already had a certain identity of self that had nothing to do with the transatlantic slave massacre, I think that it really helped us along more than what we might even realize.
Exactly, you know, and so even just with that, you know, in Hebrew Israelite, you know, it is a part of our culture. Now, we're not saying, yo, Black people are just not Hebrews. You know, we are the original, you know, just don't disregard Africa as if Africa is just like, okay, I'm not really caring about Africa, I just care about Israel, you know, because when you look at it, Africa is such a huge continent.
Truly.
You can fit like America in there, you can fit all kinds of continents in there. But this big landmass of people that look just like I and I,
like us,
and you gonna disregard that big landmass and say that you ain't got nothing to do with that landmass?
My brother, look, let me tell you
You
something.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Look, when I was in Ghana,
Yeah.
I was there for 18 days. I didn't even see all of Ghana. That was just one country.
You know what I mean?
I was there for 18 days and could not see everything. And I'm telling you, we were touring and we were moving fast and we still didn't see everything in that one nation. And so when you consider there is so much territory to cover of people who are holding aspects of us. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, Mama Africa awaits her creator.
Yes, exactly.
That is it right there for me. And so whenever I hear Mama Africa, I think of the continent and all of its countries, but I also think of the different underdeveloped countries in the Caribbean that are truly awaiting our African genius, awaiting a fire, because I really believe that we have a fire unlike any other people on the planet. Africans that were displaced here in the Americas, the ones who were brought here by force, I believe that they have a fire like none other. We have a fire like none other.
That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, even just riding off of that, you know, when we really study ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, also, when I think about Africa, I also think about the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You know what I'm saying? Now, this brother here, you know what I'm saying? Powerful brethren. You know what I mean? So it's just in a sense where, you know, Africa is ours, but also the world is ours. You know?
The world is ours.
In Europe, Grimaldi Africans. You know, the first person in Europe was an African. The first person all over the world was, because we are the original people. Like,
that's right.
Like the sister said, you know what I'm saying? We are original. That is probably the best way to describe us. Just to debunk everything. Look, we're just the original people, and anything that you want to say after that, it's just, you know, it's cool, but just know that you the original, and Africa is where that originality came out of. Okay, so we definitely touched up on, you know, Hebrew Israelites, you know, peace to ones who identify with Hebrew Israelites, you know, nothing but love, you know, uplift the melanated nation all over the planet. So next, in the comment section of the previous video, I had read a lot of people that was just like, nah, you know, Africa, nah, I'm indigenous to America, I'm indigenous to America. Now, I know a lot of Moorish people, you know, things like that, like, they are people that think, okay, well, I'm American Indian, I'm indigenous to this land, I'm not connected to Africa, etc., etc. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, that's hard right there.
What does y'all think about that? Like, about like American Indian, and I don't identify with Africa whatsoever. Like, you know, what you think about that?
Yeah, it sounds like it's a whole lot of cutting off your nose to spite your face happening, right? Because once again, as the original people, it's us, and we had a certain measure of migration that transpired all over this planet. I'm talking to the east. You know, have you seen like some of the different images that Dr. Renoka Rashidi?
Yes. Oh yes, that's a powerful brother right there. Powerful brother. Asia, he in Central America.
He is everywhere. He is everywhere, showing us us.
Showing us us. I like how you put that.
All right.
Facts.
So he's totally done his work as an anthropologist, as a researcher, to ensure that we know that there are millions of indigenous African people who left Africa and migrated to different parts of the world just so that way we could have, you know, this cultural distinction that we talk about. And so, yes, there are people who are indigenous to every country, including the Americas. The Olmec people.
Yes, I was just thinking about them.
Yes, you see the Olmec is right there on the wall. Everybody who comes in here has to know that the Olmec is part of the spiritual resonance that governs any work that I do. And so I think that it is super vital to understand that as an indigenous person, yes, you have ancestry that was here before your ancestry that was brought by force. And so I think that all in the name of maybe attempting to dismantle all of the scathing energy around the transatlantic slave massacre, I think that it's a way that we're literally hitting the block button. We don't even realize what we're saying block. When in all actuality, we should take, you have to have access and be more all-encompassing. Because it's like the more that you know, the more that you can grow and really evolve into your best version. But when you start cutting off parts of yourself, especially if I'm looking at you, I'm looking at me, and I can see the melanin power that exists between us, why would I want to disconnect that
whole landmass? People that look just like I and I.
Just like an entire continent.
A big landmass. Like you can fit continents within that continent, and you want to disregard it altogether. I'm trying to make sense of that, Moon. Like, I don't know.
You can't make any sense.
I've tried, but
no, because here's the thing. There's a certain psychosis that's associated with that lets me know that, like, in addition to all of the different wellness modalities that, you know, I big up, mental wellness exercises has to be part of it. We have to do a lot of work within our mindset because, you know, like that is a whole lot of toxicity when you start talking about I am this, but I'm not African. Say everything that you are, honor it, but include your African heritage. It's essential.
Yeah, because like soon as you know, think about just the malicious history of America, like malicious, you know, where they be from slavery and then Reconstruction after slavery, and then we got to go through like the Jim Crow era and segregation, and we, you know what I'm saying, like it was
every
really
era.
It was once upon a time, it was against the law for I and I to learn how to read, for us to become literate.
I know, and that's exactly why we cannot dismantle our African identity for that very reason.
Against the law.
When we created the libraries, we created the original libraries.
Timbuktu.
I was just about to say Google Timbuktu. Know who you are.
Oh my God.
The Songhai Kingdom is a very well educated, a very well economically driven society of ancient Africa. We have historical text that shows us that we were the original civilizations, you know? And so why would it be that you have that migration of African people, and I'm just going to use Europe, and I'm thinking Greece right now. But you have this migration of knowledge with the African people, and then at some point they decide to oppress us and keep that very same information that we taught them out of our hands by naming it illegal. We gave it to them, then they got some game, and then they decided to go back and make it against the law for us to have.
Like Africa has the most resources, the most plentiful resources on the planet. Now, we can even take it a step further, right? So it wasn't human beings that put those resources in that earth. It had to have been a higher intelligence. It had to have been a creator that created the earth that intentionally, it was intention to bless that specific land. You see what I'm saying? So everything in creation has its purpose, and what did Bob Marley say? We just gotta find its reason.
Yes. I'm
you know what I mean?
I'm like all of the preparation that the creator must have been like, okay, so we're creating this planet called Earth. We're going to have Earthlings there. Okay, what do Earthlings need to find themselves in a way of access and comfort in this particular region? Okay, they're going to need these minerals. Okay, they're going to need about this much vegetation. Okay, so we have to have about this much water and rainfall. I mean, it's the most beautiful artwork. Creation is the original artwork just for us.
Just for I and I. Just for us. Because it's like, really, the more that you study nature, the more you study the mind of God. The more that you study the mind of nature is how you study the creator. You know what I mean? mean? The I am, you know?
Africans get organized.
Yes.
And apply that accordingly. That could mean so many things. But just apply that and see how much better our lives as an African people or an indigenous people or a Hebrew Israelite people.
Right,
You know, I know even Hebrew Israelites on the regular. So,
True.
you know, I consider myself to be an all-encompassing African. You know, I always have been, always will be. And so I'm very firm in my I am within the collectivism of African identity. So.
Yeah, you know, like we just give thanks. Thank you so much for just reasoning with us and just giving us your ear, giving us, you know, some of your precious moments so that we can both feed off of each other.
I'm so in gratitude that you are the cultural and spiritual vessel that you are. Like, you have done so much raising awareness. No, you've done a great job. I'm checking you out, and so I look forward to seeing you grow and continue to put right information out there for the people. Definitely. So I salute you on that, Bridget.
Thank you. You know,
you're a beautiful being.
So family, I really appreciate y'all. Y'all already know how we got to end it. I gotta get this wisdom, gotta get this knowledge, gotta get this divine understanding, man. I really appreciate y'all. Love, peace, strength, wherever you are on this planet, man. Just keep your head up, stay strong, and master thyself. Know thyself. One perfect love.
One perfect love.
Thank you, Moon.
Thank you, my brother. It's always love.
Every time.
Yes, give thanks and praise.
Yes, I.